हॅलो. हॅलो हॅलो हॅलो. पुढच्या काही मिनटात सुरू करूया पुढचं सेशन. मागे बसलेल्यांना विनंती आहे, तुम्ही पुढे येऊन बसलात तरी चालणार आहे.
Nitin Seth is an Indian tech entrepreneur and author, known for his leadership roles, also being COO of Flipkart. Drawing from his experience of building and scaling one of India's most iconic startups, his writing offers powerful insights into leadership, transformation, and the human side of businesses with AI influence. Through his writing, he explores how leaders can balance technology, AI driven change, and human values to build resilient organizations. His perspectives emphasizes purpose led leadership, continuous learning, and the importance of culture in driving sustainable transformation in the digital age. Can we give a hand for Mr. Nitin Seth? To moderate this session, I would like to introduce Sunanda Mehta. It is a privilege to introduce the moderator for this session, Ms. Sunanda Mehta, resident editor of the Indian Express, Pune. With over 30 years of experience in journalism, she is the first woman editor of a national English daily in the city. Ms. Mehta is an accomplished author, best known for the extraordinary life and death of Sunana Pushkar, published by Pan Macmillan in 2019, followed by 2 subsequent works, including her recently released book, Behind the Big Screen on Child Actors in Indian Cinema. Please join me in welcoming Sunanda Mehta as the moderator for the session. Over to you, ma'am.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's my absolute pleasure and honor to be here with Mr. Nitin Seth today. And I was just telling him I've spent a few nights, very interesting, happy evenings, going through his book, which not just looks like a tome, but it actually is one. I think it's almost like a manual for the age we live in, with AI dominating our lives and being there so omnipresent in every single area. And this book, believe me, is an absolute manual as to how to navigate this world, which is new for many of us, definitely for me. And I think this session is going to be extremely enlightening and informative for all of us. So welcome, Mr. Seth, and shall we begin right away? Shall I start shooting the questions?
Absolutely. Very happy to be here.
So tell me, I was reading, your extensive corporate experience, McKinsey and Flipkart, and so many, one of the best companies in the world. So how did your experience working in these companies shape this book on AI and the human edge?
Yeah, maybe I can start by just saying a few words about what this book is, Human Edge in the AI Age. So this is my third work, and my first was Winning in the Digital Age, which was about digital transformation. My second was Mastering the Data Paradox, which is we are going through an unprecedented data explosion, and the data paradox is water everywhere, yet not a drop to drink. That there is a overabundance of data, but very little that we are able to use. So, and I run a technology company, so it was somewhat natural that after digital and data, my next book will be on AI. But unlike my first 2 books, which are really at the intersection of business and technology, this book is different. As you can see from the title, it starts with human edge in the AI age. It's a more reflective, philosophical book. When I started to reflect on the topic of AI, I realized that this was much bigger than just business and technology. We are at a very important point in our journey as a human civilization. If we have to really think about AI, this is not another technology change like cloud or internet or mobile. If you have to compare it, we have to compare it with fire and wheel and electricity, which were very important inflection points in the march of us as a human race. This is an inflection point which will either take us up or it might lead to our downfall. So this is anything but business as usual. And what's happening is that AI is, in a sense, becoming more human than humans. And in that process, we can't say it is fully because of AI, but maybe humans are becoming less human. We are becoming more like machines. And there lies the issue, okay? Now, the implication of all of this is pretty significant. Now, if we take a slightly long-term view, it's not that long-term, but 15 years, 35 to 50% of all existing jobs are projected to go away because of AI. And that's a humongous number. And when I really, when I did that research, I was like shocked. I was really scared because I'm a father of 3 kids, and I was that, what world are they going to grow up in? What is it going to mean for them? So that was a really, I think in many ways that prompted the book. And my wife said that, you keep on giving gyan to the world, please write for your kids also. But at the same time, what I also saw on the positive side was that, if we can say it's positive, that every industry will also get disrupted with AI. And that will create tremendous set of opportunities for entrepreneurs. Because that change is going to be so significant that existing companies, even large companies, may find it very tough. So that's kind of really the essence, Sunanda, of where I'm coming out, that AI age is the end of the era of jobs, but it also heralds the age of entrepreneurs. That's the main point I'm trying to make. And if you let that point settle in, it's a very fundamental point, because all of our processes, whether it's education, we are sitting in an educational institute, or just the way we conduct ourselves as parents, just everything is so much geared around doing jobs. And if that process has to change, by the way, this whole thing about jobs is not, is the last couple of 100 years only. It's a post-industrial revolution phenomena. Pre the industrial revolution, most of us would be what you may call self-employed. Yeah, so it's not that we are, we have got addicted to this over the last few 100 years. So if you have to shake it out, it's a big shift. It's a big shift. And the shift to me is nothing like, that in the AI age, it's not that, as humans, we have to develop some completely different set of skills that everybody has to go and enroll in some AI skilling course. That's the biggest nonsense which is being bandied around. What does it need to learn Copilot or ChatGPT? You need no training. Okay, so that's the entire point of AI. Okay, that's the biggest nonsense possible. Okay, to succeed in the AI age, at least to my mind, it is to go back to the core human values. In a sense, it is to go back to the pioneering and adventurous instincts of the early man. I'm not suggesting that we're going to go back to the caves, but the world that we have very carefully constructed over the last couple of 100 years is going to get deconstructed over the next 15, 20 years. And it does need that creative, that risk-taking, that pioneering instincts of the early man. So that's really, Sunanda, the point I'm making. Now, the thing is that how do you, I'm an engineer, okay? So, finally, there's only so much philosophy I can deal with. How do you turn that into a practical framework? So that's where, the crux of the book is this framework called the possible framework. Maybe we can speak more about it. But a lot of the early part of the book is research. But when I talk about the future, how do you talk about the future? It is, and that's where I've anchored this in my own set of experiences. And, of course, the institutions that I've worked in have played an important role in that. But I must add here that the way I see myself and all of my work, I see at the intersection of modern business and technology, which, I think I've been very fortunate to work in McKinsey and Fidelity and Flipkart, and then build my own company in CEDO in the US. But I think it is equally and a lot more, driven by, Indian knowledge systems, Indian culture. And I think that has perhaps even been a deeper influence on me. And I think what I'm talking about, the human edge in the AI age is a kind of interesting cocktail of modern business and technology, but also Indian spirituality.
Thank you. Your intro is also interesting, Cocktail, I think, of scaring us and then reassuring us, for sure. Since you just talked about that eightfold mantra, which is, I think, the crux and the heart of this book. Mr. Seth has talked about this, eightfold mantra, the acronym for it is POSSIBLE. And POSSIBLE stands for problem solving, openness, spirituality, sports, impact, balance, leadership, and entrepreneurship. All very different facets, and some which one would think, one would wonder how they belong over here. So I will not go sequence-wise according to the spelling, but let me start with a few which kind of piqued my interest initially. To start with sports. I mean, we all know about sportsman spirit, and we know what sports gives us. But still, I would like you to know your emphasis on sports as a mantra for building resilience and adaptability. Again, to come back to your own life, was this shaped by any incidents that you had in your own life, or is it something that we all know sports to be for teamwork, for building one's character?
Sports is very, very personal to me. I grew up, being an active athlete. I still, doesn't look like it, but I still am active squash player. But see, growing up, I was a very weak, and sickly child. I would constantly be sick. I was hugely introverted. Somebody would come home, I would pretend I have a stomach ache and I would hide. So I was that kind of a kid. So, it just so happened that my school was close to my house, and my school, for some reason, had a very good basketball team. And just as a middle class household, there is, you get into a routine. So, I started playing basketball, and I was not good at it at all to begin with. But if you just keep on doing something over a number of years, I think by grade 10, I suddenly realized that, I had actually become good at it. And I was one of those guys, when there would be a sports day, would be sitting by the side. So then suddenly I realized that, okay, I could actually run faster than people who were there. So I think sports was a huge unlock for me. I think that is how I found my confidence. And I think that really sparkled into so many aspects of my life, both, academic, but leadership, and throughout, I think it has been that source, it has been that unlock for me. And I think that's which allowed my energy to really flow. And that's why I'm so passionate about it, and that's why I advocate it, and I advocate it even more in the AI age, which is so virtual. When the world is virtual, the physical becomes even more important. And I've seen it firsthand that, whatever I know about leadership, a lot of it goes down to my experience, playing in a team and leading teams. So my leadership style, some of my colleagues are now sitting there, so they know it is very much driven, by the sports paradigm. So yeah, absolutely, sports is, has been very, very fundamental to my growth. If I hadn't really started, was fortunate enough to get into sports, I don't think I would be sitting here.
And next, I want to come to the P of possible, problem solving. So that has, traditionally been one of the strongest attributes of a human being, I would say, along with empathy, resilience, and like you've also mentioned in great detail in your book, wisdom, storytelling. So basically, I would like to talk about these two, storytelling and problem solving. Both of these are something, these are the human strengths. And what is the biggest impediment or the biggest misconception people have when it comes to assimilating these human qualities with AI? How do you collaborate, especially when it comes to a problem? And especially now we see AI, of course, it's very welcome in most of the spheres, but there are certain aspects I would talk about. Well, a lot of youngsters these days are using AI for counseling or for therapy. A lot of youngsters are using for, even, taking them as dietitians. They are using it to redo a lot of the work, a lot of the research. So where does where does the use of AI begin and the human edge take over? And how do you even combine the two in something as critical, something which are really human attributes? So if you could talk about, this whole thing of problem solving, which you thought requires not just a machine, but also requires the human virtue of empathy and understanding. So how do we collaborate both?
You've gone right into the heart of what the debate is. No, it's see, problem solving is core to anything. It's not just at work, and problem solving is in its various aspects where AI is a breakthrough. Okay, and first let me talk about what AI is able to do, what maybe we thought only humans could do. So what's the what's kind of the swing, and then let me get back to where I think humans still have a role to play. So in the problem solving process, we know that the analytical part of it, machines have been doing better than us for a long time. So if you were to calculate 36,248 into 896, a calculator, which is a very, very simple computer, will do it better than, I think, almost anybody here in the room. But where the human edge was in the problem definition, in the problem identification. That is where the human edge has really been there. And especially with Gen AI, and I think it is important to understand what the heck has Gen AI done. So, see, AI has been around for a long time. It has been building up for 30, 40 years. But even like 5, 6 years back, in our work with enterprises, the issue was that AI was there, data was not there. Yeah. So now what Gen AI did was that it kind of absorbed the data of the world in a sense. And because of that, the data problem has been addressed to a large extent. Has anybody here read Asterix comics? Asterix? Anybody? Okay. I'll try to give an Asterix analogy. Hopefully it lands. So Asterix, you have comics, you have this Asterix and you have Obelisk. Yeah. So they belong to this small village which where they have figured out a magic potion which gives like magic powers. Now Asterix is the hero, but Asterix has to drink the magic potion, and the druid makes it for him. Now Obelisk, when he was born, he fell into the magic potion, a cauldron of magic potion, so he doesn't need it. Yeah. So Gen AI is like Obelisk. Okay, and Asterix is like traditional AI. So that's what Gen AI is, and because of that, because it has kind of absorbed the data of the world, it is actually super at initial problem identification and problem framing, because almost any problem out there, you can get like a 30 to 50, 60% answer with Gen AI. Yeah, and that's where it's a huge unlock. The second thing which generative AI models or the GPT, the transformer models do is that they work on unstructured data as opposed to structured data. 99% of problem solving that has happened so far has been based on structured data. Yeah? Whereas the transformer models, the Gen AI models, work very well with unstructured data. Yeah, so videos, voice, different type of content which otherwise is very difficult to deal with. And that's where they are great for conversational storytelling. Yeah. So the Gen AI has extended the problem solving capability of machines by an order of magnitude. It has really gotten into problem identification, and it has moved from the traditional IQ elements into a lot of creative and EQ type of elements. Yeah. So AI is now increasingly being used as part of storytelling, we were talking about it, or even movie making, any art form, AI is getting into that. We talked about, counseling. So it's fascinating. That's the number one use case for ChatGPT today. Yeah, it is mental health support, it is counseling. It's quite fascinating. So the problem-solving role of AI has expanded by an order of magnitude. And when I say AI is becoming more human than humans, this is problem-solving is where it is happening. But at the same time, I think the mistake that we are making is that we are seeing it as 0 or 1. Either AI is all-powerful or AI is useless. The story, like most things, is somewhere in between. Now, the chat GPT is like, it's that student in the class who puts his hand up very quickly, okay, but doesn't always have the correct answer, okay. Chat GPT is like that, okay. So most times, the answer is in a 40, 60, 70% range. Now, for our personal use, that's typically fine. We are looking for a directional answer. But when you are a bank and you're looking to use that data to make a credit decision, it's not good enough at all. It's not good enough at all, because you cannot make decision based on a signal which is only 40 to 70% accurate. Yeah? And the gap is what I call context. The gap is context. Because what's happening is that we are using AI to make decisions which are very complex human decisions. And fundamentally, the models still have a very data science orientation. Yeah? And that gap is I think, what we are struggling with right now, and provides the role for the humans. Okay, so if AI is at 40 to 70% and what you need to be is 90%, that gap is context, that gap is what the human role is. And that's where you would hear this concept a lot, human in the loop. And I think that's where the human in the loop is coming from. I hope it was not too complicated.
No, absolutely not. And since I read a book, I think I had the context. But I also want to know, that is okay when we are working with AI. We know how much has come to us, and like you said, the speed. I mean, it's always that part is also always astounding to me, that in 30 seconds it does stuff that could take you easily 3 hours or maybe a day to do. But when the information that has come to us from a third source, is it possible to make out how much of it is AI generated and how much of it has come from human creativity? Is there a way of finding out where AI ends and human creativity starts? Or how much is the percentage in whatever answer or whatever product you have in front of you?
Absolutely. AI is the way to do that also. So,
yeah, but I've been told a lot of them, I do use a lot of AI detectors, but I've been told that not always are they hugely dependable.
They're getting smarter and smarter. Of course, whether it's kind of the more basic case of, you're a teacher or even, you are, in the US especially, one of the biggest issues is like, because the admission process is so subjective. It is all about writing these damn essays, right? So, every school has some kind of a software to detect, whether the essays are human or AI or how much of AI it is. So I think that is there. But to go to more serious situations like deepfakes, which in your world, of media is a huge issue, and AI is the way to detect that. But it does raise the more philosophical questions that. Is that question even very important?
As far as deepfakes or fake news is concerned,
the deepfake is a very important.
It is, yeah.
No, the deepfake point is a very important point. But see, this whole question about intelligence or any output, the fact that how much of that is human, how much of that is AI, at least my view is that over a period of time, it is going to blur. I'm going to maybe use like a Hindi analogy because there are some things you can only express in Hindi. Isn't there a muhavra that कि आपको आम खाने से मतलब है कि गुटलियां गिनने से मतलब है? There is something like that, isn't it?
Yes, yes.
Sorry? Something like that. You get my point, no? That finally is the substance of it, right? As opposed to the method of it. So look, as for I think the real issue which I think you are getting to, Sunanda, is about accuracy. Is that information accurate or not? Yeah, and for that I think a filter is very important. But see, I'll tell you about this possible framework. Okay, now I think it's a good example that the 8 elements are absolutely mine. Okay, but I took help of AI to make that anagram. Okay, so a lot of my colleagues are here, like one of my senior colleagues is here who is an expert in crossword. I gave to him as well. Okay, even he could not help because like a 8-letter acronym is not that easy.
Yeah.
Okay, so I gave it to ChatGPT. I iterated with him or her, whatever, and I think that's where the acronym came from. So I think to me it's perfectly acceptable that the content, the elements are very much me and my experiences, but AI helped me make the acronym, which I might have struggled a lot with. So
yeah, I mean, I agree about accuracy, but it's also about accuracy and also about uniqueness. Given the fact that basically AI will pick up with the information which is out there and, very happily now unstructured, which I think what gives it a kind of a different, a unique edge to the people who are asking for that information, something different is given. But yet, do you think the human mind, which is capable so much of thinking so out of the box, can AI think that?
See, again, all these concepts like intelligence, creativity, even consciousness, I think we should not, see, these are very broad concepts. Now, the great ability that we as human beings have, see, intelligence, you can say it's broad, it is narrow. Okay? We as humans are very, very good with broad intelligence. Okay? We can deal with a very, very wide range of issues. Okay? Machines can't. But machines are very, very good with narrow set of issues. Okay? A lot of the direction of research in AI is to build that breadth, which is the direction from specific intelligence to this AGI or artificial general intelligence, which I, by the way, believe is, we are wasting a lot of time and money on that. Yeah. But the reality is that the breadth of machines, the breadth of AI will keep on increasing. There is no doubt about that. There is no doubt about that. It's an irreversible process. It's an irreversible process. Okay? But at the same time, it is not that we are out of the game. Yeah?
Which is exactly what your book is all about.
See, it's an and in any given work, we have to acknowledge that there will be an AI role, there will be a human role. For that given work, over time, the human role will continue to decrease. Okay? It's a given. Okay? So this whole thing about human in the loop, and it's a very important point I'm making, the human in the loop over a period of time will keep on diminishing. Okay? AI, the main power of AI is that it is constantly learning without, it is compounding. Anything which is constantly compounding will keep on improving. Now, our opportunity is to keep on creating the next loop. The next loop, okay? And that's where I say that, look, every industry will get disrupted in the AI age. and which will create tremendous set of opportunities. Arey Baba, that's what we as humans have to do. If we continue to be stuck on our current, what we are doing, then it is tough luck. It is tough luck. So yes, from a short to medium term perspective, the opportunity is human in the loop because AI is not good enough to do it fully. Yeah, but that's short to medium term. From a long term perspective, the path forward is human above the loop. Is human above the loop, where we have to be creating the new business, the new concept, the new product, the new process. I think that is the only sustainable path for us.
Yeah. So taking from here and also what you earlier said, that 35 to 40% jobs may be going. So which are the industry, which are the jobs, which is the area which are likely to be impacted the most and which have to now really start very seriously thinking about, well, reskilling or, what you said, put themselves above the loop to survive? Which are those industries which are most likely to be, or professions?
I think the audience will not like my answer, but I think it is, to deal with any change, the first step is to accept things as they are. You can't project, one's wishes onto reality. Okay, reality is reality. Look, this change is going to happen across industries. Unfortunately, or whatever, the white-collar jobs are going to be hit a lot more than blue-collar jobs to begin with. Over the next 5 years, for every single blue-collar job, 10 white-collar jobs are going to be impacted. So it is that order of magnitude. Now, over time, they will equalize because over the next 15 years, robots will become a lot more competent. So the poor blue-collar jobs will also get impacted. Okay? So that's the reality. The jobs that we see as the most premium jobs today. So I run a technology company, so this is super real for me. Yeah, we are getting 40% productivity using Gen AI in our client work. Yeah, so and we are probably at the very high end of, software development, data science, and all of that. But equally, you look at an investment banker's job. Just yesterday night, Wall Street Journal wanted me to write an op-ed on my ex firm McKinsey, which is really at the top end of the management consulting value chain, that McKinsey has just announced that they will be letting go of 10% of all jobs, that it's the management consulting jobs. So it's the marketing jobs, it's certainly making a big impact. So it is the classical white collar knowledge worker jobs that are going to be impacted the most. So yeah, I think this is pretty pervasive. When you say 35 to 50% of all jobs, you're talking about a couple of billion jobs, okay? So, and it also means that 90 to 98% of all jobs will get impacted in some fashion. This is 35 to 50% lost. So these are very big numbers. The way forward, see, the skilling, reskilling is, again, we are just parroting some words without understanding what they mean. And it really, really frustrates me, and that's the reason I've, written this book. The more than skills, the issue is one about mindsets.
The openness part of your...
That's where the openness comes in, exactly. More than skills, it's a mindset issue, okay? It's a mindset issue because it is this mindset of not, see, as human beings, we tend to gravitate to, Newton's third law, right? Inertia. Yeah, we tend to gravitate to what is, whereas we have to go from what is to what it can be. It is more than anything a mindset shift. Now, as far as skills are concerned, maybe skills we have to think in 3 steps. The first is, yes, the first and the immediate thing is that you have to use AI. And you have to use AI to get the productivity. Yeah, that's the immediate thing. And that's not a very big deal. It's not too complex, okay? So yes, you need to build that familiarity, get the fear of AI out. It's like, okay, how do you use AI tools to drive productivity? The second step is, in terms of skills, is a shift from technical skills to domain skills. I'm just coming from a town hall in my company here in Pune. And that was what I was telling people, that, that, hey guys, that right now it's all about technical skills. AI will do this better. What will be more important is this context point. Context comes from domain, and that is what we have to build. And then somebody stood up in the town hall and said that, okay, you are saying this, but I just joined the company a month back, but my interview was all about technical skills, and my training over the last month is all about technical skills. So the guy was giving a hard reality check to me, but that's the thing. It's all about technical skills today, but has to move to domain. But finally, what is really going to be important is going to be the entrepreneurial skills, which is creativity, risk-taking, because it has to be about human above the loop. Because if we limit ourselves to human in the loop, the AI will keep on increasing its scope, and our role as humans in that loop will continue to diminish.
So let me come to another part of possible, which is balance. Given how omnipresent and how intrusive AI is. And you've also written that's very critical to maintain balance alongside surviving AI. So what is this balance that you're talking about, and why is it so critical?
See, the nature of all life, and it's not just about business, is duality, okay? Everything in life is duality. You have male, female, day, night. At a very fundamental level, you have short-term, long-term. Anybody who's in business knows that, short-term, long-term. You have growth, profitability. You have, there are two aspects to anything. And when the situation is very simple, you can say, I can do this. Yeah. But when it is complex, you can't make those easy choices. You have to optimize for both. Yeah. And that's where, and I have made this point across my 3 books, that mastering duality or mastering seemingly contradictory objectives at the same time is probably one of the most important skills for the 21st century. And for AI age, it's also very important. All the conversations, Sunanda, we have had so far has been about mastering duality. It has been about man and machine. You can't say that I'm going to only optimize for machine. You can't say it is only going to be about the man. It is both, right? So that's where this balance or mastering duality between seemingly contradictory objectives is a super, super key skill.
And you also said, now this is going to be the age of entrepreneurship. That is one way to counter whatever work, jobs that AI is taking over. But not everyone can become an entrepreneur.
Why? Why? Everybody keeps on, saying that and framing that as a question, but why?
Okay,
I'm sorry,
so
but
tell us, how can everyone become an entrepreneur? Let me rephrase my question.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's the revolution we need. That is exactly the revolution we need. That is exactly the point. Har ghar vyapar.
You did that. You became an entrepreneur.
Yes. I came from a middle class family. My father was in government service and I have become an entrepreneur. It has to happen. It has to happen at a level which is very, very, very different from what is the case today. Now, an entrepreneur doesn't always mean that you're not doing a startup of your own. Before I set up my own company, I think I was an entrepreneur within McKinsey. I was an entrepreneur within Fidelity and so on. Entrepreneurship is a mindset, which is about creation. That you are going to create, not just consume. And to create, you need to have a vision, you need to have a thought process, and you need to take risk. You cannot create without taking risk. And that's what an entrepreneur is. And I think it is going to be the most fundamental aspect for us as humans to, not just survive, but thrive in this AI age. It is a tsunami of entrepreneurship. It's a tsunami of entrepreneurship because, see, the research, Sunanda, is very consistent. I have looked at like maybe 15, 20 sources of research. The numbers for job loss are between 30 and 60%. The lowest end is 30%. Okay, even if you take the lowest number, even that you're talking about billions. Okay, so it's just that it's such a scary thing that governments don't want us to talk about it.
Yes.
Okay, so this is going to happen. Are we all going to just submit to that and say, okay, few people will create value, they will be taxed, and then there will be universal basic income, and that's how the world will survive? Isn't that like a horrible kind of view of the world, of society? And that the only way that that negative, big negative number I see getting equalizing, it's not AI alone. AI, as we see, is very, very, AI infrastructure is very human efficient. You look at OpenAI, just got a couple of thousand engineers.
Yes.
Their closest Chinese rival, DeepSeek, has got 200 engineers, 200, okay? So, if anybody thinks that, my kid is doing computer science and with a specialization in AI, good luck. That's actually the job that's going the fastest, okay? So what is actually going to create jobs is going to be how do you use AI to solve problems, which is where entrepreneurship comes up. And I think that to me, I make no bones about it, that's the mudde ki baat, that everything, the whole possible framework is finally getting to that. I see that there are questions also.
Yes, so I'll just take one or two quick questions and then I'm going to throw it open for people to ask. Okay, tell us more about nitinsaid.ai.
Yeah, see, I've created like this portal or a chatbot, which is kind of a specialist kind of for, I've trained the LLM on digital data and AI. Yeah, which is essentially what the concepts that I talk about, because I really, for me, this is such a big deal that, I wrote this book it's not a commercial thing for me, but to evangelize a point, that this point is extremely, extremely important. Now, there is only a certain limit to the human ability. Over the last 4 months since the book has been published, this is my 5th trip to India.
Yeah.
I think this is the 35th, 40th talk that I'm doing.
Okay.
But how do we amplify it? So nitinsaid.ai is a way for me to amplify that message.
Okay, and finally, give us 3, 4, 5, however many you can, human qualities that AI will never be able to replicate, so that we go back with some hope.
No, look, why is there no hope? Why is there no hope? No, that's a wrong thing. Why is there no hope? Humans, there is the breadth and depth that we have is unmatched. We are using only a fraction of who we are. That's the problem. We are using only a fraction of who we are. Whether that's 1% or 20% or 30%, we can argue about it. But I think it is somewhere in that order of magnitude. And that's where I make the point about the early man, that with every successive wave of kind of industrialization or whatever progress, we have lost some human faculties. So the entire point I'm making is there is nothing out of syllabus. There is nothing out of syllabus. We have to go back and discover who we are, which is that, we are risk takers. We are very adaptive. There were many Homo species. The Homo sapiens survived because we were most adaptive. We are most adaptive. Okay, and I think that's the movement again. We have to change. We have to change from this addiction to jobs to becoming entrepreneurs or becoming entrepreneurs again. We have to do that. And some of the big things that really support us is we are very good at context. Yeah, we are very good at context. Creativity. That still creativity is so multi-dimensional, that machines can only get to a certain part of that. The human connection. Yeah. And all of these things, Sunanda, are interlinked. Yeah, because, when the human connection is there, that's how the context happens. That's how the outpouring of creativity happens. One topic which we did not discuss today, which is a very, very fundamental part of my thinking and the possible framework, is spirituality. It's a very, very core aspect of who we are as humans. It's the most fundamental aspects. You can say as humans, we can break up our capabilities into 4 parts: physical, intellectual IQ, emotional EQ, and then there is also the spiritual quotient. And with this whole onslaught of Western methods, we have tended to segregate that. In our culture, that was never the case. That was never the case. That is inherently who we are. It's a process of going inside ourselves. What is spirituality? It is a process of going inside ourselves. When you do that, that is where all this creativity and all of these things get unlocked. Yeah. So I would not lose hope at all. If at all, this book is a clarion call for, it's like, Arjun at the field of, and Krishna at the field of, Kurukshetra, that don't wallow in, unnecessary emotion and confusion. Pick up your bow and, take action.
Yes, and I guess finally remember that AI also is made by humans. Okay, I think I will throw the floor open now to a couple of questions. We are running out of time. It was really, really fascinating hearing you, and I'm sure no one wanted this to stop. But any questions from the audience? Yeah, about 2 questions, please.
Yes, you're audible.
We can hear you.
Agree. 100% agree, but I think AI is usually overhyped in the short term, but underhyped in the long term. So I think this whole thing about, the apparent magic abilities of Gen AI, which we see in personal use, they are not replicated at the enterprise level for exactly the reasons I talked about. Because there is this tedious thing called context that comes in, that a 50-70% answer is okay from ChatGPT, but not okay for an enterprise use. And that's the difficult part, and it's not that easy to get over it. So definitely it is overhyped. Definitely it is overhyped in the short term. Definitely there's a bubble that will burst. But it will probably be a good thing, but because that will bring a focus back on fundamentals. But let's not make any mistake. Let's not make any mistake. Yes, there is a bubble, but this technology is very, very solid.
And it's here to stay.
Definitely. There's a great point. See, first, I think that's one of the flip side of entrepreneurship, that the success is not 100%. So that is the nature of the beast. I think, especially what I see in India, and I think that's what we have to work on, that many startups, there is a lot of this energy and desire for startups, but not enough of a deep understanding of problem statements. So most startups are working on very shallow problem statements or me too problem statements. And I think that's also, it's kind of, you kind of figure out, that this is a model which has been successful in the US, and then it's almost like fastest fingers first, that who can copy most quickly. I think that's something, the essential nature of startups and what we are trying to do in India. It needs a lot more depth. It needs a lot more, they need to be anchored in real problem statements.
Hello.
Why don't we complete your thought? maybe we can have an offline conversation. Okay, yeah. Let's take a final question.
Okay, yeah, just one more question.
It's about entrepreneurs. So in your conference about human age, AI age, you have spoken about AI dramatically lowering the cost of execution. Before this AI era, many people had strong ideas but lacked the manpower to execute them. Today we see many indie solo game developers building entire teams with the help of AI. From a leadership perspective, what is now the real constraint stopping entrepreneurs in other fields? Is it resources? Or is it judgment, courage, and responsibility in decision making? In other words, has AI removed the execution barrier but exposed a leadership barrier instead? And so, just to be transparent, I refined this question with the help of AI.
I could make that out, but look, I think that's a good example.
Yes.
It's I think it's also credit to the prompt that you gave. I think it's a fascinating and a very deep question. You've put it very nicely. I think I speak about that in the book as well. That AI has clearly reduced the entry barrier for entrepreneurship, and I think that's what There's a lot of talk about AI native businesses. That is what AI native businesses are, which have very few people. So there's a lot of conversation happening about single person billion-dollar companies. We haven't seen that yet, but I think we are getting there. So that is indeed the way. And that I think, Sunanda, is also there for creative fields. That you can get going very quickly. The biggest barrier in this AI age to entrepreneurship is not resources, but is thought. Is exactly what I said here. It's like a clear enough understanding of the problem statement. If you have that, then AI will make it quite easy to get going.
And that was the human edge, by the way. No answer. I think lady has been wanting to ask for some time. Do you still have the question? Or absolute last one. They are giving me very dirty looks from there outside.
Great.
Yeah, very valid question.
It's a great question. I think every talk, every conversation, this is a question that definitely comes from. I don't know if you're all taking that lens. Yeah, when you take that perspective, it is very worrying. It is very worrying, yeah, because exactly that step-by-step process. So, for example, when I learned to program, 35, 40 years back, there was one computer in my school, and we would get that for half an hour in a week or something like that. So you would kind of, learn to, you'd first draw a flow chart, pseudocode, then, so it was very, very logic intensive. When my son went to, for his first programming class in grade 6, he used drag and drop, and he created a program day one, okay? And I was very worried that he doesn't have logic, yeah? So look, I think we just need to, I don't see the AI native generation having this concern. Okay, this is a concern we have. We find it very disconcerting that this is how we learned, and how is it going to play out for our kids? Okay, they don't have this issue. They don't have this issue. See, but they are making do with this AI world better than us. So I'll give you a practical example so with this AI and exactly where you were going, my assumption beginning of the year was that the pyramid that we have in any company, that pyramid will move into a diamond, because jobs at the bottom of the pyramid will go, okay? But it has not happened that way. Because in theory, the more experienced people have a lot more context, a lot more to offer, but in reality, they are less change ready. And it's the younger guys and girls who are doing better. And equally, if you look at entrepreneurship, and our friend was talking about his visit to IIT Mumbai, the average age of entrepreneurs is getting younger and younger. Yeah. So, look, the method of knowledge is changing. It's a lot about consumption versus building. The way you and I probably, built knowledge was through in a very sequential bottom-up process. Yeah. This generation is building it in a very different way, which is a lot more consumption-driven. Yeah. So, which is very disconcerting for us, very natural for them. And my sense is that it is probably they are fine, they are okay, we are not okay. They are okay, we are not okay, because the nature of AI is not about building, it's about consumption. Okay? So yeah, it's kind of interesting, I think we should worry less about our children. I think they will figure out. I think we should figure about ourselves.
Okay, on that note, thank you so much, Nitin. It's been absolutely fascinating, and I'm sure everyone here is going to go back with great information on AI. Thank you.
Please do read this book, Human Edge in the AI Age.
Please do buy this book.
Thank you.
And if it's here, maybe get it signed too. Thank you.
सर
एनलाइटनिंग सेशन होतं असं मी म्हणेन. मी मिलिंद मराठे यांना विनंती करते की त्यांनी मान्यवरांचा स्वागत करावं. श्री नितीन सेठ आणि सुनंदा मेहता. सुनंदा मेहता यांचेही स्वागत सर करतील अशी मी त्यांना विनंती करते. आणि यानंतर लगेचच पुढचं सेशन आपण सुरू करतो आहोत. अतिशय इंटरेस्टिंग आणि वेगळं सेशन आहे. भैरप्पा ज्यांचं नुकतंच निधन झालं, कन्नड भाषेतले अतिशय प्रथितयश मोठे विद्वान नामवंत लेखक, त्यांच्यावरचं सेशन आहे. भैरप्पा एक पर्व. आणि सेशनमध्ये मुलाखतीसाठी आहेत शेफाली वैद्य, पत्रकार श्रीधर लोणी आणि रागिणी चंद्रात्रे त्यांची मुलाखत घेणार आहे. लगेचच आपण 1-2 मिनिटांमध्ये सेशन सुरू करतोय.